Well, folks, good morning. Welcome to another new day and another study in the subject of prayer. We're thinking about when we should pray, and in our study yesterday, I pointed out the pattern that we see in the life of the psalmist, summed up in Psalm 55 and verse 17, where he called out to God at morning, noon, and night. Just after finishing my recording yesterday, I remembered that it's the same sort of pattern that we find in the life of Daniel. You remember how Daniel prayed 3 times a day, and perhaps like the psalmist, he had the pattern of praying in the morning, in the evening, and sometime during the day, perhaps around midday. But the question comes, are there other times that we should pray to God? And I would say that if we read the scriptures, we'll see that there are. There are times when faced with particular challenges, faced with decisions that we have to make, that it's good at that specific time to turn to God and immediately to pray about it. Where do we find this in the Bible? Well, we find it in many different places. We find it, for example, in the book of Nehemiah, in Nehemiah chapter 1. Nehemiah goes into the presence of the king, and the king asks him why he's looking downhearted, and Nehemiah tells him. And then the king says to Nehemiah, well, what do you want me to do? And it's at that point that we read that Nehemiah prays to God. Now, I'm sure Nehemiah didn't get down on his knees and go on for maybe 20 minutes talking to God. It was a short, sharp, what's called an ejaculatory prayer. It was just that he turned his heart to God, and in the quietness of his heart, he sought God's guidance for him with regards to this particular decision that he had to make. So here's a situation where a child of God is faced with a challenge, with a decision, with a dilemma, and he immediately turns to God and seeks God's help and God's face. You get a similar situation whenever Hezekiah is faced with the challenge of Sennacherib and his armies invading Jerusalem. And he's given a letter, and in the letter he's told that the city is going to fall and the Assyrians are going to take it over. And what does Hezekiah do? He immediately takes that letter and he opens it up and unfolds it before the Lord. In other words, he makes this situation a matter of prayer immediately. So it's good to pray to God whenever we find ourselves in situations where we have decisions to make, where we have challenges to face, where we find ourselves in difficulty, and taking that immediately to God. It's very easy for us to turn to other people and seek their guidance, their advice, and it's good to do that. But the one to whom we should be turning immediately and first of all is, of course, our Heavenly Father. So, yes, the pattern of seeking God in the morning, at night, in the middle of the day, but also turning to God at any time of the day, whenever we have particular issues that we want God's help with respect to. I hope that this is helpful, and tomorrow we look at some other times when we should seek God in prayer. May God bless you.